Okay, so today we're gonna do a full walkthrough of the 1020 International System head placement for our electrodes. So first we're gonna start off with a clean canvas or regular head, and we need our 4 landmarks. So our 4 landmarks are our nasien, which is the indentation in between your eyebrows and the bridge of your nose. So right there. All right, have that done. The other 2 is your preauricular right and your preauricular left, which are your ear tabs right outside of it. And then your 4th landmark is going to be your inion. So it's the first bump as you go up the back of your head. So this bump right here, my inion started right here. So I mark those 4 off. And this is when the whole 10-20 comes into play. So I have my measuring tape. I'm gonna measure from my inion all the way to, from my nasien all the way to my inion. And this is done in centimeters. So I got 33 centimeters. And now, measuring upward, we're gonna go 10%. So whatever 10% of 33 is, that's what your first mark is gonna be. So 10% of 33 is 3.3. So I'm just gonna mark off where 3.3 is on my measuring tape. And this first mark is my FP. Now, going all the way back is going to be 20% of 33. 20% of 33, if I'm not mistaken, is 6.6. So that's what we're going to go by, 6.6. Going all the way back to our inion. So I have my FPZ, my FC, my CZ, my PZ, and my OZ line. In between our OZ and our inion should be the same exact 3.3 that we got in between our FPZ and our nasien, if that makes sense. Now, that was our sagittal measurement. Now we're gonna do our coronal measurement. So this is from our preauricular left to our preauricular right. Of course, measured in centimeters, but you need to make sure that you're going through your CZ mark. So right through there, and then you go all the way down to your preauricular right. With this, I got 33. And once again, we're gonna use our 10-20. So 10% of 33, which is 3.3 again. And with our 10% marks, we like to make these lines a bit longer, just because it should connect when we go around like this, around the head. Now we did our 10% mark. We're gonna do our 20% of 33, which once again is 6.6. Do the same thing to the other side. Now we're gonna go up 6.6. Okay. Now we have our 10% marks all the way around the head. So now we just did our coronal measurement, which gives you T3, C3. It makes CZ true since we made a cross. And then we have T4 and C4. Now we're gonna do we're gonna do our circumference. First, you're gonna make a mark directly in the center of the head, going up from the tip of the nose on your FPZ line. So what you're gonna do is take your measuring tape and go all the way around the head, but you have to make sure you're going through your 10% marks. This is what I mean when I say to extend your lines. Oops, sorry. So I got 54. Now with this, you're gonna divide 54 by 2, which would give you 27. So once I get 27, I like to go around to half of the head and mark whatever half of your circumference is minus 27 to make my OZ true. Now, 27 is our 10%. 10% of our 27, sorry, is 2.7. And that's our first marking. And that first marking is going to be FP1. You see that there? Now, we're going to go from here to here. 20%. 20% of 27. It goes back to 54, so that's 5.4. This is our F7. I'm gonna keep going around the head until we reach this halfway mark. Then we start back at the front and we come all the way around again. And right now I'm just going all the way around 20%. Again. Okay, so this is my FP1, this is F7, this is T3, but it makes it true because now it's a cross, and this is my T5, and this is my O1. Now we're gonna do the same thing to the other side. So once again, we're gonna go 10% of 27, which is 2.7. And then 20% of 2.7, again, 54, 5.4. Okay. I would do the same thing to the other side. This is FE2, F8, T4, which is made true, and T6, and then O1. Now we're gonna do, our parasagittal measurements, and this goes from FP1 all the way to FP1 all the way to O1, and you have to go make sure you're going through C3. So with that, I got 23, which should be 5.75. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And then when we get, oh, I'm so sorry. When we measure our parasagittals, the number that we get when we measure from FP1 to O1, you divide it by 4. So we're done with the 10, 20, 10% and the 20%. Now we're going to be dividing by 4, which is how I got the 5.75. Now I just got my F3. I made C3 true, and I got P3. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Measure from FP2 all the way to O2 through our C4. And I got 23 again. So divide that by 4. Again, I got 5.75. Okay. Now again, we have our F4, C4 and P4. Now C4 is true. Now we just have to do our anterior coronal and posterior coronal. Here we extend our 10% mark into T6 and then extend our 10% mark into T5. Now that those lines are true, we can use it to complete our posterior coronal measurement. Now with this, you go from T5 to T6 or vice versa. I got 20, and again, you just divide whatever number you get by 4. So mine would be 5. Okay, now all of our lines are true because they're all cross marks. Now we're going to do the same thing to the front since all of these are not true, but we're going to extend the 10% mark to make F8 and F7 true. Now that that's done, again, we go from F7 all the way to F8. I got 21, which should be 5.25. Okay, now all of my lines are true. Can you see that? We have our midline, sagittal, midline slash sagittal, we got our circumference, we got our coronal, we got our parasagittal, we got our anterior and posterior coronal measurements. And now we're going to do the midline electrodes. So these are our leads. These are what we use to put it on the electrodes. You need a head box. This is what you connect the leads into. So it has all of these electrodes on the box, so it tells you exactly where to plug it in. So since we're just doing the midline, we're only going to use FC, and we're going to use CZ, and we're going to use PZ. Next, we need some tape, regular breathable tape, 2 to 3 Q-tips. I use the tape to tape the Q-tips together. We're going to need a tongue depressor. We need new prep, or just a skin prep. We use this to prep the skin to put the leads onto the skin. And this is our conductive paste, 1020 to be exact. And we use this to apply the leads onto the skin. It's like an adhesive. I like to use the tongue depressor to scoop out the skin prep and the conductive paste. I already have my Q-tips together. So first, we're gonna start off with PZ. So we see our PZ there. Take our Q-tips, dip it in our skin prep, not just about that much on there. And you're gonna prep the skin exactly where that X mark is. Just rub it in. As you can see, I rubbed that in. Now I'm gonna take my PZ electrode, PZ lead, dip it, scoop some 1020 paste, and I'm just gonna press it directly where that X marks the spot that we just cleaned. And it should be exactly like that. And you're gonna keep repeating these steps for all of your electrodes. Again, use our skin prep, clean that X. Now we're gonna take our CZ electrode, scoop our 1020, and we're just gonna press it in there, directly where our X is clean. Lastly, again, for our FC, just so you guys can see better, we're gonna clean exactly where we marked that spot with our skin prep. And take our FC lead, electrode, whatever you call it. Scoop our 1020, press it right into that spot that we just cleaned and marked off. And that's just how you do it. Now let's do a slow walkthrough. And that is our 1020 system.